Okay, welcome back. We're just talking about the schedule and the fact that there's something due every single week. So let's talk about the workload. Online courses are take about the same amount as a face-to-face course. I'm expecting to spend about 4 or 5 hours a week. A lot of this is the video lectures. So video lectures are typically between like an hour and a half of broken into 15-minute chunks. So yes, I want you to be paying attention. This is kind of a fast-paced course. I mean, it's a chapter a week, and there's lots of stuff to cover. And once again, there's a task or an assignment due every single week. Just to dial home this point one more time, a lot of people are kind of confused, and they think that online course means things are just kind of optional. Like, well, I don't have to watch those videos. I'll just look at the book and I'll just take the exams and be done. I'll look at the PowerPoint. I'll download the PowerPoint slides and I'll be done. That's not how it works here. This is an honest-to-God, lecture-based course that just so happens to be online. So yes, you do have to pay attention to note. You have to pay attention in lecture. You got to take notes. Okay, let's continue. Let's talk about the exams. So this is an online course, right? So I don't make any restrictions whatsoever. I mean, you can have open book, open notes, open internet. It's okay. It's perfectly all right. You're conducting this thing at home. There's 25 in the big exams, the final and the midterm. There's 25 questions plus 2 extra credit questions. And you get an hour and 15-minute time limit. Now, you can do the math and figure out, okay, how many minutes per question. It's pretty snappy. I mean, you can't just sit there and concentrate. You might want to just kind of skip around and get the easy ones first and then come back and get the hard ones. I mentioned to you that in the schedule there's an entire week's lecture just to go over a review, and I give you a list of topics. I actually give you a list of topics that are going to appear in the exam, not the exam questions, but I'm going to give you the topics. That way, the book has got this much information in it. I talked about this much information. So I'm actually giving you the list of topics that you can study for. Take-home exams or quizzes are about the same, but they're taken at home, right? So open everything. 20 questions. I give you about an hour to do. And I write lecture notes before I give my lectures, same as I do face-to-face as I do online. And after the lecture, I post my notes. Now, you might think, well, dang, why don't you give them to us in advance? Well, the problem is if I did that, then you wouldn't be paying attention. I want you to be taking your own notes, all right? But these lecture notes are still important. Let me explain why. When I'm making these quizzes and exams, I'm looking at my lecture notes, okay? I'm looking at my lecture notes going, oh, that'd make a good question. That'd make a good question. That'd make a good question. So if I'm using them to make test questions, don't you think maybe you ought to be looking at them too? Yeah. All right, one more time. The reason why I think it's okay to have open everything, open book, open everything, is that my test questions are not the kind that you can look up on Google. Because they're going to be a lot more why type questions than what type questions. Okay, I think I've drilled that one down. Let's continue. So let's talk about the assignments. Yes, please read the assignment. I'm always amazed at the students. The assignment will say something like, do a little bit of research on network translation protocol. So I want to do a NAT, and then you turn a paper in that's got nothing to do with the assigned topic, and I'll say, why'd you do that? Oh, well, I didn't see that. Would you reading comprehensive? Please read the assignment. What can I say? Okay, you're typically going to be submitting a single document, most likely a Word document, maybe a PowerPoint or Visio document. I do have a standard file naming convention. And I know this is a little crazy, but hey, I'm allowed to be crazy. All right, so here's how it works. There's 3 parts to this, or conversely, 2 and only 2 spaces. So here's how it would work. CISK347 space, whatever the thing you're doing, like assignment 2 space. your last name, dot, and your first name. That way, when I extract your documents out of Blackboard and put them in a folder, they all line up, they're all in order. Okay. Everything is done via Blackboard. That should be fairly obvious. Don't email me a document, because everything, you submit it through Blackboard. I'm going to make comments on it during Blackboard. You're going to get your grade through Blackboard. Everything is through Blackboard. And I will tell you that when it comes to writing an assignment, yes, I expect I'm going to give you some feedback, and it is perfectly okay for you to resubmit even after I've graded it. Here's a scenario. Let's say, for example, that you missed something completely. You missed an entire point. And so I gave you a 75 on your paper, saying, hey, you completely missed the point here, and I scribbled some notes explaining what I intended. You look at it and go, okay, I understand now. Let me fix it. You can go back and rewrite that section of your document and resubmit it, and I'll accept it, and I'll probably take off a few points for the resubmission part. But yes, you can resubmit your document even after it's graded. So essentially, there's no reason why you would ever flunk an assignment, because I'm going to provide you feedback, and you turn it in. Maybe you brought it up to an 80, and I resubmit it again. Maybe bring it up to a 90. I mean, you can resubmit as many times as you like. Okay. I don't like group assignments. Group assignments were always annoying. I found them very, very frustrating. So everyone's going to be doing their own thing. Here's the grading rubric for turning in these little papers. The paper could be like a network diagram, or it could be something where you do a little bit of research. So 20% of it is, did you read and follow instructions? Okay, that's essentially what 20% is. 35% is, did you learn what it is you were supposed to learn? Whatever the chapter-specific objective was, like, explain to me how network address translation works under this scenario. I'll give you an office scenario and say, can a packet from over here reach over here? And if so, how? So, did you learn what you're supposed to learn? Do you come up with the right conclusions? For example, if I said, is it possible to do this without routing? You'd be able to come back and say, absolutely not. And I go, good, you got it. So do you come with the right answers? Is it readable and organized and formatted? Yes. I mean, this is not an English course, so I want it to be easy to me to read and be formatted, but I don't spend, I'm 15%. And I want it in good grammar and spelling, but you can tell I only spend 5% of your grade on that. It's not really that important. What's important to me is that you learn something. Wow, what a concept, huh? Professor that wants you to learn something. Okay, so that's where my grades are. Okay, every week I'm going to ask you to answer 4 questions. And when we get to the video talking about Blackboard, I'm going to go through and we'll do one of these. So the 4 questions could be something simple. It could be, what example in lecture did I use to demonstrate this feature? Okay? These are things that tell me that you actually paid attention in lecture. That's what it's all about. I'll give you 4 questions. There's a section in Blackboard called Journals, and you would go there once a week, and you'd create a new journal entry, and you'd answer those 4 questions. Now, it doesn't have to be fancy formatting, and I'm not expecting a Word document. I'm expecting you just type, because some of the answers could be 12. So question number 4, 12. That's up. I don't need anything more than that. It's just now. So this is the way that you can tell me that you've actually read the book and paid attention. And this is a kind of a private conversation. No one else can see what's going on. Okay. Let's talk about late policy. I kind of sort of mentioned that, but here's how it works. Everything is due at 11:59, essentially midnight on Sunday. That's essentially when everything is due. I typically start grading on Monday. Now, I may not get them all done. So, Monday and maybe Tuesday is when most of the grading is probably going to take place. So, there's a 5-point penalty per day if you submit something late. So, let's say, for example, that you submit, using the example here on the slide, Let's say you had a perfect score. It was fantastic, but you were 4 days late. So that would be 100 minus 4 days late times 5 points a day is 20, so you made an 80. Okay? And if you do the math, 5 points per day, what happens if you were 20 days late? 20 times 5. Whoops. Yeah, you get a nothing. Now, when you resubmit, let's say I grade your paper and I scribble some notes on it saying this part needs work, or that wasn't exactly what I was talking about, or something. I'll give you some notes, and let's say you made an 80, and I submit it back, and then you look at it and go, aha! So you fix it and turn it back in. I'll probably take 5 points off for 1 day being late in that whole process. So when you do resubmission, you do incur a late penalty. No fraction. So late is late. If you're 5 minutes late, 10 minutes late, if it's past midnight, essentially, how about this? I look at the date, and if the date is Sunday, you're okay. If the date is anytime on Monday, that's 1 day late. Okay, cool. Here's my grading history. Now, this is not the history of this particular course. This is my grading history for all courses that I've been teaching. And essentially what this means is most people make a B. You can kind of look at this. I'm not one of those people who give an easy A kind of a course. These courses are typically kind of tough. By the way, I tend to kind of ignore the Fs. And I'm not being glib here. I'm just saying that those typically are scenarios where people sign up for a course and then they just don't turn anything in. They just abandon the course and wander off. So essentially, everyone who participates makes an A, B, or a C. That's generally the way that works. I really, really, really like feedback. Feedback is a critical part of this entire process. If I take the time to go into your document and scribble on it and tell you that this part needs a little work or this diagram is missing this piece, I really, really want you to pay attention to that. And if you don't, for example, I'll say you missed this component in this diagram, and then the next assignment you turn in, you do the exact same thing over again, then I'm pretty much convinced that you're not paying attention to the notes I'm giving. You're not seeing the feedback I'm giving you, and so you're going to get even more points taken off. So yes, feedback is very, very important. So important that, hang on. Let's go to the next slide. So I provide feedback in one of 3 ways. One is when you do grading, I give personal feedback in your grade book. Now, there'll be like a summary. Let's say you made an 82, and I'll have like a summary. It's just a small box where I can type in, not that much room. It'll tell you, here's what I thought, But if you want to really see what's going on, you're going to have to open the document. So let's say like this is a Word document you submitted. You go to your grade book, click on it, open the document, and now you're going to see the notes that I've left for you in your document. If you don't open the document, you'll never see the notes that I leave for you, okay? So that's one way I give you feedback. The other way is this thing called a discussion forum. I've got a discussion forum set up called Grading Notes. And this is a discussion forum for everyone. It's not a personal thing. And what it basically says is, it looks like a third of you had a problem with this test question. Let's go over that again. That kind of thing. Okay. And then the third one is a scenario where I may actually send you an email saying, hey, something's wrong, you need to resubmit. So I have been known to put Easter eggs in the discussion forum, meaning that inside the discussion forum it'll say something like, if you respond to this email, to this posting with a Blackboard email, I'm going to give you 5 points on the next quiz. Ooh. So, you think maybe I'm serious about this feedback stuff? Okay, we're coming up on the 15-minute mark, so this is a good place to stop. We'll see you again in just a few.